Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Speak, Film, and Enter, a podcast where we review and rank movies. I'm Nate.
And I'm Dylan.
And I'm Adam.
And we are back to kind of a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks off there. We all had some traveling going on and beginning of summer, all that stuff. So we're back with the May Roundup for you. And then right around the corner, starting this week, a lot of big movies coming out as well. Spider-Verse, new Pixar movie, new Wes Anderson movie, a lot of big stuff. So we will be getting to those.
Yep.
So 3-week break, not going to be the norm. But anyway, today we're going to be getting into our monthly roundup where we discuss basically all the stuff that we didn't review this month that we watched. And I think all we had out for review this month was basically Bound, old movie from the 90s from the directors of The Matrix. And then Adam and I reviewed Blackberry. You can go check that out. That was a really fun movie and a good time. Saw that at the Minneapolis Film Festival. So basically with the roundup, we talk about everything else we watched. We break it into 4 categories to give it some kind of a structure. And Dylan, would you like to tell the people what those 4 categories are?
Yeah, we break it into best new watch, best rewatch, dud of the month, or just worst movie of the month, and then ones that you just want to talk about for any reason that is completely open to your interpretation.
All right. Adam, I thought you froze there for a second, but you were just very still.
I absolutely did. My internet shit the bed. So there's a good chance this happens periodically throughout the episode, which is sort of a good thing because I don't really have that much to talk about. So I'm not really, I didn't record anything in my letterbox, so I don't even know what I saw. So I'm just going to be basically silent this today. I haven't seen.
You've seen some of the movies I rewatched, I'm guessing, so I can kick things off.
Okay.
With best new watch, and I had. What was that?
How many movies did you watch this month?
Just 21.
Oh wow, really slow month for you.
Very slow month for me. I actually went outside. So we'll see if that continues going into June. Got a lot of sun. I burned myself one of these days, so I don't know. Might have to hold off for another couple of weeks just to stay safe. So I watched a couple of movies around late 90s, early 2000s. The first really good new watch that I had was a movie from 1996 called Irma Vep. Which that might sound familiar to people. The same director released, I'm not even sure if it's a sequel or a remake or exactly what the relationship to the movie is, but on HBO Max, which is now just Max because it needs a new name every 6 months, from Olivier Assayas, starring the show that came out in 2022, starring Alicia Vikander, and that was an HBO miniseries. So that was kind of
called
buzzing around, and you might see it if you're just scrolling through HBO and kind of trying to find what to watch. This was the movie from 1996, which is a very meta movie about movie making. A Chinese movie actress in France to star in a remake of The Vampires finds petty intrigues and clashing egos on the set. And this stars Maggie Cheung as herself.
Okay.
And The Vampires is an old, like really early, like 19-teens crime miniseries from France. You might have seen some imagery from it. She's got this sort of, the main character, Irma Vep, has this very like stylized sort of like leather black suit, which is, I believe, what Michelle Pfeiffer's suit in the second Batman movie with Michael Keaton. I believe her suit was sort of modeled after that character.
Interesting. Okay.
And that movie is even referenced in the movie Irma Vep. It's all super meta and just has layers upon layers upon layers. I thought it was fantastic. It's strange. It's pretty short. It's just under 100 minutes. It's really funny.
Okay.
If you have any interest really in kind of what a movie set is like.
Okay.
It's a strange movie because I would recommend it to the two of you. I don't know how many other people I know I would recommend it to. Like if you like foreign movies, definitely check it out. But if you're somebody who's just gonna see like Spider-Verse and the Pixar movies and Marvel stuff and the occasional like 1 or 2 Oscar dramas from the US every year, if that's more your style, probably not for you.
Okay.
But just the meta nature of it is fascinating. It's one of the best movies about like the artistic process, particularly a shared artistic process that I've ever seen. Just really, really fascinating. It definitely made me want to watch the miniseries, which I plan on doing in the next month or 2 here.
Okay. Interesting. All right. And where is that on anywhere? Criterion or
Criterion and Max.
Oh, and Max.
Excuse me. I almost called it HBO Max, and I think we would have had to shut down the pod if I had let that hang. So
I'm just gonna keep calling it HBO. I have no qualms. Fuck Discovery.
You heard it here first. So it's available to check out. So then I stayed with Maggie Chung, and I finally watched In the Mood for Love.
Oh, okay. All right.
Which is one of the best reviewed movies of all time. I think it came in at number 5 on Sight and Sound's 2022 list, where Jean Dielman unseated Vertigo, and before that Citizen Kane as the best movie of all time. In the Mood for Love is right up there, and it's a fascinating movie. It's from director Wong Kar-wai, starring Maggie Chung and Tony Leung, who American audiences are very familiar with. He was the dad/villain in Shang-Chi. He's been in many other things as well. This is an interesting movie in that it's got a really good just log line pitch to it. You can just kind of hear it and picture how a story like this might go.
Okay.
It's in the 60s in Hong Kong. A man and a woman who are neighbors discover that their partners are cheating on them with each other.
Okay.
And they find this out when the two of them when their significant others are abroad in Japan. So they're just back home by themselves, and they kind of put the pieces together.
Interesting. Okay.
And even with that, it plays out, and it has an element of it that I was not expecting at all. That really, really added to the power of this movie. It's like a very sensual romance movie that doesn't. There's a lot of will they, won't they in there. Lots of kind of longing shots. It's got some of the best cinematography, costumes. The score and the music in the movie is amazing. Everything about this movie is like 5 stars. It's fantastic. It's already in my top 50.
Oh, wow.
It's just stunning how good it is. I mean, it's fun when you get a movie that is rated that highly and that highly acclaimed by like everybody across the board, and it lives up to the hype. Because I went in expecting like it could be great, and it's a masterpiece. It's absolutely fantastic. There are kind of notes of Portrait of a Lady on Fire and Phoenix.
Okay.
In there, I listed both of those in my short review on Letterboxd for this movie, where just kind of watching it and seeing the influence that it had, where I could see elements of In the Mood for Love in Phoenix, and I could see elements of In the Mood for Love in Portrait of a Lady on Fire. And those are 2 of my favorite movies as well. So this was just right up my alley, and I highly recommend this for everybody. I mean, this is like the pinnacle of movie making, basically.
All right, damn.
Okay,
good. Well, I've always wondered if it lived up to the hype. So now that I have your approval,
absolutely does, and that is also available on HBO Max and the Criterion channel.
Okay. Nice. All right.
So that's what I've got for my best new watches.
And I either wasn't paying attention or maybe I missed it. What did you give Agnes Verda or
Irma Vep?
Norma Vep. Sorry, what'd you give? Yeah, Norma Vep.
Irma Vep.
Irma Vep.
Yes, I gave Irma Vep 4.5 stars.
4.5. Okay.
Yep.
Interesting. Okay. 4.5 and then 5 for In the Mood for Love.
Yep.
All right. Sweet. All right, Adam, you want to go next?
I don't know if he has
like
one.
I said, I have nothing.
Okay, well,
Adam's just here
because
here
my
to add
internet has been so choppy. Some color, I guess. I don't know. My internet's been so choppy that like I hear you guys, but you are occasionally just black screens for me. So at least the audio works, but
all right,
there's no way this is gonna keep up. like and work well. So apologies this month, but
all right, we'll just pretend you're not here and just chime in when you can.
Back like the old days when I was like, oh, I'll look something up for you, or like
yeah, exactly.
The original when I was Adam Snow.
Yes, then that name needs to come back.
All right. Well, over to me. It was a very, very slow month for me too. A lot of traveling, and also this seems to be a month to catch up on a bunch of shows. There were a bunch of shows that I don't really watch that many shows, but they all seemed to come out with new seasons or final seasons in the last like 3 weeks. So I rocked out a bunch of those. So I only got to 3 movies this entire month. So here we go. The best new watch was Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons. I thought it was really fun.
I did see that. Yeah.
Yeah, you saw that, Adam. Yeah,
I
thought it was fun. I thought it was a good time. It didn't take itself too seriously. I knew nothing about Dungeons and Dragons. I had a good time. I watched it with a Dungeons and Dragons expert, and she had a good time. So,
is there anything that she is not an expert in?
I haven't found anything yet.
All right,
you can quote me on that.
I'm gonna find something.
But yeah, no, I laughed. I thought that the CGI and the action was good enough. It felt I don't know, not like lazily done, kind of like a lot of like Marvel stuff and certain other stuff. It felt like the people who were making it really cared and wanted to make. There was some passion in the movie, and I could feel that, and so I had a good time. So just a 3.5 for a high 3.5, maybe 4, but like. It was just I really went in with kind of low expectations, and it definitely met those. Lots of good humor and good for Chris Pine for taking off.
Yeah, I love Chris Pine.
Yeah, that was so fun. Good. But yeah, so that was my best new watch.
All right. On to best rewatches, and this is where I had a lot for this month. Newsflash or public service announcement here: 12 Angry Men is a phenomenal plane movie.
Ooh, okay. Nice.
Yeah. Nice. I mean, it's true. All in one room. It's old black and white. There, like, you don't need to worry too much about seeing details and stuff in the back. It's just like lots of close-ups of like a guy talking.
Yeah.
You're fine there. It's short. It's like 80 some minutes and very dialogue heavy. It's easy to follow. I mean, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. And I watched it again on the plane back from Orlando, and it's fantastic. Nice. Don't need to mention really anything else about that one because it's just always been that great for me.
Classic.
Yeah. And then I did have a movie jump from 4.5 to 5 stars.
4.5 to 5.
Yep.
Ooh.
And that is Alfonso Cuarón's sci-fi masterpiece, Children of Men.
Nice.
Oh, Birdman is Iñárritu.
I know.
Do not come at me with
Children of Men is fantastic.
Yeah.
That is a hard movie to watch sometimes.
It is. It was in my top 100. I had it as a 4.5, but it made its way into my top 50 now. It's a like firm 5-star movie for me. Mm-hmm. It's amazing just how much this seemed to just be spot on with the way the world was going to react to certain things.
Dude,
it gets better like every single year. Clive Owen, Julianne Moore, Michael Caine, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Claire Hope, Ashite. She's got to be the Key. She's fantastic.
Yeah.
And Cuarón's cinematography is stunning.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some insane action sequences in this movie, but it's not primarily an action movie. It's never the first thing that comes to mind because it's so smart and well written and well acted.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's got that 360 cam with the car ambush and
the scene leaving the farm is bananas. That like whole
that one too
is just wild.
And then at the end when they get caught in the middle of the like guerrilla warfare with that like single shot where he follows Clive Owen, it's all just so good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Cuarón's one of my favorite directors, and this is currently now my highest rated Cuarón movie.
Yeah. I remember watching this. I think I brought it up on an old Roundup episode. I watched this.
Yeah.
It was around quarantine because I was still at the Boom Island house with everybody. And we watched it. And after we were done, we were all kind of like, "Oh shit, that hits a lot harder." Like during the pandemic and like all of the shit that had been happening. that is a tough movie to watch sometimes. It's a really good one. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know maybe what was holding it back from a 5, and then watching it again kind of cleared something up, or was it just like an overall reappreciation and just kind of?
I never like to view something as necessarily having something that holds it back from a 5, because it's not like, that's not a starting point. That's like I don't know. It just needs to hit on a certain emotional level.
I feel like there's definitely some movies where they have a part
well, that's
or a scene
that's
that
true.
holds it
There's
back.
like a thing.
There's like one thing. I mean,
You're
even
like,
if you see a movie at the film festival that you loved until it had a 5-minute epilogue that you just fucking hated.
That dropped it from a 4 to a 3.5.
Okay.
But no, a good example would be like Licorice Pizza, like kind of
Okay.
doubling down on that, like just like unnecessarily
racist
joke.
Yeah.
Like that's a good example of like, that's just like, I can't quite get there.
Okay.
But with Children
That's
of
fair.
Men, I think, yeah, I hadn't watched it for a while, and just kind of, like, now that I've watched so many other like old classics, still have hundreds that I want to get to, but I feel like I've watched enough other like solid, for sure, 5-star classics now that I felt more comfortable just watching Children of Men and including it in that category. Along the lines with like In the Mood for Love and like Goodfellas.
Yeah.
And Pulp Fiction and Bicycle Thieves and like all that range of, and Mother.
Okay.
It just, I watched it again and I just felt, I looked at my list and I thought like it's as good as all these. So there we go.
Yeah. Oh, Mother. There's a movie. There's a trip.
Yeah, I really want to rewatch that.
I know. Yeah, I want to rewatch it too.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
over to Adam. Psych.
I do have
back
2
to
more.
Me. Oh, never mind. Okay, wait.
Just really quick.
These are my 2.
Yeah. This will be Adam's slot. I rewatched Who Framed Roger Rabbit for the first time in a really long time, and God, that movie's funny. It's so good. It's one of those movies that I hadn't watched this since I was like a teenager, probably, and it had been long enough where I was like, did I just love it because I was a kid and like the nostalgia factor? And no, it was funnier this time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Holds up.
Oh my God, that little dance song thing that Bob Hoskins goes into at the end of the movie to make all the tunes laugh is amazing. There was a reference to the old movie Harvey, which I never got before, but was hilarious. And yeah, it's just Who Framed Roger Rabbit is great.
Yeah, for me, I also saw that for the first, like, I kind of similar thing where I had seen it when I was a kid and then I rewatched it. I think it was like last year. I think I talked about it on one of the roundups, but for me, it was the opposite, where when I saw it when I was younger, I didn't get it and I didn't like it. I did not like that movie for almost my whole life. And then I gave it a second chance as an adult, and I was like, oh, okay, actually, this is like really funny, like
really smart
Hollywood like jokes and making it just the whole idea, the whole concept of the tunes being real and like playing that for a little bit more like kind of adult themes. Genius.
And spinning off all the noir stuff, which obviously we're older and we have a little bit more familiarity with now. So they're kind of playing off those tropes. I mean, there was a joke with Jessica Rabbit about a booby trap that just made me, I would have spit out my beer if I had been drinking a beer. It was so like the movie combines just like stupid, silly humor with like really thoughtful critiques and like kind of elevated satire just so well.
Okay.
And then lastly, I won't talk about this one too much because I think we are going to have an episode on it in the next couple of weeks here. And that is Moonrise Kingdom. I'd always kind of had a easy tier 1 Wes Anderson movies for me with Fantastic Mr. Fox and Grand Budapest Hotel. And then I had like 4 or 5 others of his, like all at like 4 stars. And it was kind of whichever one I watched most recently, I felt like maybe was the 3rd best one. And it is now, I will say, firmly number 3 for me, and kind of a tier of its own. And we can get into the whys on that when we do an episode on it.
Okay. Cool. All right. Now over to me for best rewatch. I just had one, and that is The Incredibles. Went all the way back, the OG, one of the OG Pixar films. And, I'd forgotten a lot of things. I'd forgotten how short it was, how fast paced it is. I mean, it really, like, it goes. I I had forgot kind of some of the nuances of some of the characters, and also like the bad guy, the villain, his kind of sidekick helper who ends up kind of making the right choice later in the movie. There was just a lot of things that I'd forgotten, so I really enjoyed it. The animation holds up pretty well. It's definitely not, there's definitely a difference between this and like their more recent stuff, or some of their really visually stunning stuff. But overall, it's just a solid, really fun, creative time. It's just like you can tell that the studio at that time was just like bursting with creativity and just like a commitment to what they were doing. They were like excited about what they were doing, and it just like comes through when you're watching it. It's very it just feels like something that everybody who made it was like in love with it and wanted it to be great. And it's just very charming, and I had a great time. I think I had it at a 4.5, and I bumped it up to a 5 because I think this is one of Pixar's bests, definitely one of their classics. I think we had an episode where we ranked them fairly recently, and I can't remember what I gave this one, but I feel like the original Incredibles finished fairly high. Was it like number 5 or number 4 or something?
It was in the top 5 for sure. That is an old really podcast episode, so you can find that if you want to. It's not on YouTube. You can go back and check that out. And we are going to have kind of a fun Pixar episode coming up here to celebrate Elemental. And I did just want to share, Dylan, to hop off this. I have Incredibles 1 spot ahead of In the Mood for Love on my top 100.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and I can see why. Well, now I really need to check that out. And also the I always forget her name, but the old little lady,
Edna Mode.
Edna Mode. I mean, talk about it. Amazing.
I never look back, darling.
And the Friezo or whatever.
Frozone.
Yeah. Like both
and his wife.
They're really great side characters that, like, because the movie is only like 92 minutes and it goes so fast, they really don't get the screen time that they could have used.
I think it's longer than that.
The first one?
Yeah, it's 115 minutes. It flies though.
Yeah, it doesn't feel that long, for sure.
Also, fun fact: Edna Mode, voiced by Brad Bird, the director.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is that our Minnesota boy?
No, that's Pete Docter.
Oh, excuse me. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. But yeah, so The Incredibles, 5 stars, great rewatch. Back to you.
Adam had a good I thought you had, was it a new watch or a rewatch that you had this month?
Let me look at my quick diary. On Letterboxd here. Right now, let me reload the page. I didn't really see anything in May. So, it was technically a new watch, but it was when I went to Denver. That was late April. So I guess it kind of counts.
Well, that counts if you didn't say it on the last one.
That's fair. I watched on the way to Denver, Paddington 2. And that is, I've completed the circle now because I watched the first one, loved it, watched the second one. And there's nothing wrong with these movies. Like, they're just so perfect. They're so like adorable and heartwarming and funny, clever. Like, add a million adjectives, and that's these 2 movies. They're nearly perfect in every single way, and I absolutely loved it. And I've been telling people to watch it. Obviously, that's gone around. I saw there's a comedian who I follow, Taylor Tomlinson, who did something similar. It's like, I finally watched the Paddington movies and like can't shut up about them. Yeah. And they're just great because anybody can watch them and appreciate them. And you're gonna go into it like, oh, it's just a kids movie, like it won't be that good. And you're like, oh my god, that was great. And like that really touched me. So
touched my soul.
Yeah, like I feel like a better person for having seen and experienced some of the love that they experience with this bear. I also always love that no one ever says, like, you realize he's a bear, right? Like, that never comes up, and that's just such a great joke to completely gloss over. So
yeah,
it's done well. Yeah.
Awesome.
All right, dud of the month.
Dud of the month
or duds?
Dud of the month. I have 2.
Okay. One
of them is more a movie I was excited about that didn't live up to the hype, and the other one just flat out sucks. So which one do you want to hear about first?
Flat out sucks.
Give me that.
Flat out
I watched the Super Mario Bros. Movie.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah, of course that sucked.
It's like a 90-minute commercial. It's just... And I've met so many people like roughly our age who have just been, amazing. And I look, have fun with this movie if you want. It's just a nostalgia trip. Which is like fine, but it's when I see movies like this that it's just a 90-minute ad for Mario, basically, and it's like the 4th highest grossing movie ever or something like that now. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I saw it's broken records.
So moving on from that, because we don't need to spend any more time on that. A movie called Nine Queens from 2000, which Dylan, you and I have almost watched like 3 times.
Oh, okay. Was that on Criterion?
It was on there for a while. Yeah, the movie about the 2 con men.
Oh, yep.
From I can't remember. I think it's it's from Argentina, if I'm not mistaken.
Fabian Bielinski.
It's fine, but I found it very predictable. Okay. I kind of called what was going on about halfway through, and for a con movie, that's just kind of...
It's not a good sign.
No, it's not a great sign. And part of it is there aren't like that many con movies, I guess, but I've watched a lot of them that are available and read a lot of books kind of in that same vein. So I kind of know what to look for and what the tools are that they use to kind of try to misdirect. But I just found it to be pretty predictable, but still entertaining enough. I didn't hate it or anything, but I gave it 3 stars. Like, it's fine, but was definitely going into it thinking that I was going to kind of have my mind blown, which I did not.
Fair enough. Interesting. Okay. Well, I'm glad you checked it out and we didn't watch that together and both be disappointed.
And be kind of like, oh, we could have watched something else.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Over to me for my dud of the month. This is my 3rd movie of the month. And this one, I went in with... So it's Renfield.
Yeah, I saw you watch this.
Tempered expectations, and we're
Tell
still
me more.
Yeah. I went in with really tempered expectations, and I felt like, okay, if it hits the right tone, doesn't take itself seriously, a lot of kind of winking at the camera, like, it could be done. It just didn't work. It just didn't hit with me. Like, there are funny jokes scattered around, but just like the main kind of idea and theme about it's about like abusive relationships and toxic relationships, and they kind of try to, make a lot of real world parallels to like what Renfield and Dracula's kind of dynamic is. And like, I get it, but it just, when they tried to lean into that stuff, it didn't felt like it was working. And then, so really I was just waiting for like, that good, funny joke every 5 to 10 minutes, that they, and whether, and there are some of those, but I went in hoping that it was at least kind of funny. Like, I was hoping for like extraordinary weight of massive talent levels.
Yeah.
Right? Or like that, right? Like, it's a shtick. It's Nick Cage kind of. And I had a fun time. With this one, I didn't have as much fun.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't horrible, but I'm just giving it I'm going to give it a 2. Because by the end, I really was just not. I was like, can we just
waiting for it to be over?
Yeah.
Sure.
So that was definitely the dud of the month for me. So there it is.
There we are.
I forgot to throw that up there, which, whatever. Although that's just going to make it harder for me to timestamp stuff. I really just hurt myself there. That was that's all that happened. Anyway, on to movies we want to talk about. I've got 2 from acclaimed directors from the 2010s that I finally got to.
Ooh.
And they are Phantom Thread and Silence.
Interesting. Okay, so I have not seen Silence, but I have seen Phantom Thread. I'd love to hear your thoughts. PTA, Daniel Day-Lewis.
It's very, very well done.
Right.
It's kind of gross.
Right.
And yeah, it's just icky.
Yeah.
That is.
Yeah, it is.
That should be your letterbox. Should be like, it's just kind of icky.
That's kind of what it is, basically. But I mean, it's so well acted. It's pretty funny at times. The music is really good. All the costumes and the sets, like,
it's beautiful to look at.
I mean, you can just tell, like, PTA, the highest level, just always, basically. And it's basically one of those movies where, like, he successfully did everything he was trying to do. And I have a lot of respect for it. And there are parts of it that I found very intriguing and entertaining. But as we got towards the end and I kind of realized what it was turning into, and then the final line of the movie is hilarious if the movie's working for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I can appreciate it, and I kind of laughed, but it was still just kind of like, it was more of like a sort of laugh. Like it, I gave it a 3.5.
Okay. Yeah.
It's really, really well done, and I just don't ever feel the need to watch it again.
Okay.
Yeah, that was kind of my takeaway too. Like, you can't help but respect what you're seeing, and it
Yes.
looks great. It's Daniel Day freaking Lewis, and like, there's a lot going on there. But yeah, what it turns into and where it ends up, just
I will say though, on kind of the sort of pivotal dinner in the middle of the movie when it kind of changes and they get a little more combative in their relationship, like when she makes dinner for him,
yeah,
and he just doesn't want it.
yeah,
That is one of the funniest couple arguments I've ever seen in a movie. The way, because it's like they're both so frustrated and they can't quite express it. The way that Vicky creeps or cripes.
Yeah,
I don't know exactly how to pronounce her last name. She's really good.
Really good.
I mean, there are moments where she's just kind of giving him like a like in the middle of the conversation, and it's like a line of dialogue. And it's like several different ways that she does that, where she kind of like mocks him a little bit, the way that he's acting, or like he says something preposterous and her reaction to it is just phenomenal. Like that scene, just purely for the acting and the writing, I could rewatch over and over and over.
Okay.
Yeah. Out of context, it's even funny just because the acting's so good.
Yeah. Yeah. So I did give it a 4. So just a little bit more than you, but yeah.
Yeah.
And that's on Netflix. I looked that up. That's streaming on Netflix.
That is where I watched it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Silence from Martin Scorsese, starring Andrew Garfield, Adam Driver, and Liam Neeson.
It's like 8-hour movie.
Yeah, it's 2 hours and 40 minutes.
8 hours long.
Not short.
It feels like longer. I'll say that.
Have you seen it?
I've seen, I want to say half of it. I don't know. I don't remember when I stopped watching.
I thought you were going to say I don't remember which half.
No, it was definitely the first half.
Asleep?
No, I don't think I fell asleep. I think at some point we just like turned it off. Because I watched it with somebody, and it was just like, it was just like, and black screen. Like this
isn't the vibe for this evening.
Basically, like I think we got like an hour in, and I was like, we were just like, this isn't going where we wanted it to. So it's
interesting you say that, because I like the first half of this movie a lot. I think the first half of Silence, or maybe the first like hour and a half, is like peak Scorsese.
That's fair.
I mean, it sets it up really well. The acting and like the settings that they're like, the way it's shot, it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
And Garfield and Driver are great, along with like a host of really talented Japanese actors whose names I'm just going to butcher. The second half of the movie felt a little more, it feels really repetitive, and it starts to really focus in on exploring like a singular thing that the stakes just don't really mean a lot to me.
Okay.
And I don't always need that in a movie, but for how long it focuses on just that one thing for like an hour, it started to drag on me a bit. So I also gave it a 3.5.
Okay.
I liked it more than Phantom Thread, because the first like half of this movie I thought was brilliant.
Yeah.
And then it just sort of kind of limped its way to the finish. It doesn't like mess it up or anything. Like, it tells the story it's trying to tell. Just kind of reached a point where I felt like it could have been like 20 minutes shorter.
Okay.
And it would have had the exact same effect on me.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I wanted to get that in before, at some point this year, before seeing Killers of the Flower Moon, just because it's a recent, like, sort of historical epic from Scorsese that feels like there could be some similar themes. I don't know. Haven't seen Killers of the Flower Moon yet, but wanted to get Silence out of the way before seeing that.
Okay. Sweet. Adam, did you have one that you want to talk about, or just over to me?
I really don't.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
Figured I'd throw it out there. So the two things that I have to talk about are actually both TV shows because I already
Nice.
told you I only watched 3 movies. So the first one that I just have to talk about is Barry season 4, which was released on HBO. That's the comedy about a hitman tries to be an actor, kind of gets entangled in his own web of lies and other criminals and whatnot. Really good balance of funny, like it's interesting because the show started off as very comedy heavy, and it was a lot of like he's in acting school and he's trying to figure out how to be an actor, and the people it's a lot of jokes. I remember it being like almost all comedy. Now it has evolved to where it's much more of a serious crime show, or like most of it is. So like
Okay.
the theme music is gone. It used to have like a fun like da 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 da, and now it's just like Barry, and then so it's like because
Okay.
it's like he's really gotten himself in deep, and things are not looking good, and it does something about halfway through. It's only 8 episodes, and the episodes are only 28 to 30 minutes long. It does something about halfway through that I thought was very interesting and that kind of needed to happen because I was like, things are getting a little stale, storylines are kind of reaching their end. Like, how are they got like half a season left?
Yeah.
They did something which worked with that. I thought it was very bold, the way it ended. Good action, still some good comedic moments in there, but it's over now, and I like the way they ended it for what it was. And so, good job to Bill Hader. I mean, just carrying that show, directing almost all the episodes, writing, produce, like that is his baby, and he definitely showed me some things. Like I think his style behind the camera is a little rough around the edges. There's some cuts and some pacing things where it feels like it moves really fast, and then we get a really long scene, and then it moves really fast. And so there's things where I feel like maybe he still has to refine it, but like the comedy is still great, and what he was going for, I definitely respect. And if he whatever his next project or thing is, I'm here for it. So good to props to Bill Hader.
Nice.
So
Yeah,
that was the finale of that show.
Yep.
that's toward the top of my watch list for like non-miniseries shows.
I mean,
Yeah.
and
I've had a lot of people tell me about it. So
yeah.
And it is super
over?
bingeable. It's super bingeable because
Yep.
they're all short and each season is only 8, so you can do like
Rip
one
through it.
season a weekend easily, and you're right
Yep.
there. So yeah, definitely check it out, and I think you'll kind of get what I mean about how the tone shifts season to season. But it's interesting. And then the last thing I have to talk about is another show that I just recently started watching. Because season 2 was released, so I watched all of season 1 and then just finished season 2, and that is Yellow Jackets.
I heard some mixed things about season 2, so I'm curious.
Yeah,
what your opinion is.
I mean, I liked it. It's definitely a little bit like it's not like trashy TV because it isn't, but like it's a show that really moves fast, and like a lot of things happen every single episode, and it blends like survival with like horror with like family drama, and so you got a lot going on. It tells two storylines the whole time. It's basically about a girls soccer team. They fly out for nationals. It's 1996, and their plane goes down, and they are in the wilderness for 18 months. And they survive. They're eventually found. And so, but the question, of course, is like, how'd they survive that long out in the wilderness?
Yeah.
And so it tells the story of them as adult women and shows us the story of what's happening out in the woods at the same time. And they've done a really good job of that. After season 1, I was almost like I was like, where are they going to go? And like, kind of like, what's the pay? But now that season 2 has happened, I just think it is a show that literally it just swings for the fences. It's just every time that it's up to bat, everything they're trying to do, they go for it. The cast is really good. I definitely have to give a big shout out to, and now I'm gonna have to look this up real quick, but the main actress, I should have had this ready. Sorry about that.
Isn't Monica
Melanie Lipinsky.
Yes.
Yes. I always think her name is Monica.
Yeah.
And yeah, I got to give a huge shout out to her. She basically is kind of the quasi main character of the show. And like when she showed up in Last of Us and she's kind of like a serious, like a person to be feared, I was kind of like, I don't know if that really works for her. I don't know if she doesn't have the look. in this show, she earns it. Like,
Okay.
now I'm a
Excellent.
big fan of her, and some of the scenes that she has, and like her character's journey is fantastic. Also, you have a lot of OG. You got Juliette Lewis in there, Christina Ricci. Oh my God, her
Okay,
character. She plays Misty, who's like, when you see her as a kid, she's already kind of out there, and then her as an adult is like, whoa. And then second season, to make it even better, they bring in Elijah Wood as a yes.
I
Excellent.
might need to watch this now.
And his character's name is Walter Tattersall.
I love Elijah Wood.
I know. so like, yeah. It's dark. It's definitely not for everybody. Like, I can see why some people were turned off. I mean, there's some icky parts, but there's also like really good supernatural horror stuff, really good just like high school drama, social group stuff. And I truly did not know where it was going to go. It's a show that really keeps you guessing. You don't know what's coming next. So shout out to Yellow Jacket season 2. I liked it. It totally worked for me. I am all in for season 3. All right. So, yeah. Those are mine.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Well, I'll commit to next month actually watching some stuff. I went to a lot of concerts this month. I watched a lot of playoff hockey. So and did a little traveling. So it was getting into summer after that winter we had was
yes.
you gotta get outside. It's just
understandable for anybody who's in like the Midwest. Just it was so long.
Took forever. It took forever. We were needing it. So yeah.
All right. Well, cool. I guess that's it. Unless anyone else wants to say something. Whose turn is it to put a wrap on the show?
It is mine. So Adam, you got it?
I got it.
All right. He remembers those vanished years, as though looking through a dusty window pane. The past is something he could see but not touch, and everything he sees is blurred and indistinct.